Current journalist Scott Lambson was at a recent gathering for the American Legion in Salt Lake City, Utah, where Mayor Rocky Anderson gave a speech about his feelings on the Iraq War. And as you're about to see, some of the people in this red state were feeling a little blue afterward.
We're here today in downtown Salt Lake City, where no fewer than 7 demonstrations are taking place right now. Salt Lake City this week is hosting the American Legion Convention, the largest organization for veterans in the United States. President Bush is scheduled to arrive tonight and speak tomorrow. A lot of the controversy is swirling around Salt Lake City's mayor, Rocky Anderson, who is, a lot of people feel, spearheading the anti-war, anti-President Bush demonstration today.
A patriot does not tell people who are intensely concerned about their country to just sit down and be quiet. To refrain from speaking out in the name of politeness or for the sake of being a good host, or to show slavish, blind obedience and deference to a dishonest, warmongering, human rights violating president.
I think that Rocky Anderson has showed tremendous courage here in the state of Utah to speak out in the reddest of the red states and show that we aren't all like-minded and that we have the ability to think for ourselves and question authority and question decisions made.
I think he's made a major mistake because a mayor has a responsibility to welcome these kind of people to his community in spite of what his own policies are.
That is not a patriot. Rather, that person is a sycophant. That person is a member of a frightening culture of obedience, a culture where falling in line with authority is more important than choosing what is right, even if it is not easy, safe, or popular. And I suspect that person is afraid.
A lot of conservatives especially feel that by demonstrating today and by drawing all the media attention to himself, that he kind of stepped on the American Legion. How do you feel about that?
Absolutely. He stepped on him. It was, he has the right to speak, but he should have the respect enough to respect what these people did and what they gathered for.
You have a relationship with Rocky. What are some of your thoughts on his decision to speak earlier today?
I have not said this to Rocky, but he could probably tell you what I would say, and that is that I'm disappointed that as a mayor of a city representing a city. Now, Salt Lake is only a part of Utah, and it's different demographically from some of the other parts of the state, but to represent a city and take a position like he has taken, I think is inappropriate. This is not about Rocky Anderson, and he's made it about Rocky Anderson.
Unpatriotic and servile, but is morally treasonable to the American public.
What brings you out to this demonstration this evening?
I served in the United States Navy. I'm proud of my service. I served and not in wartime, but I'm here to support those who are serving in wartime or giving their lives and who gave their lives, and one young man buried today. I'm supporting his family. First of all, let me say this. I've worked with Rocky for years. We've had a lot of things we've done and we've agreed on, but I'm disgusted with him. I think it's despicable what he did today for this reason. Although I support his right to protest, it's not about that. Certainly has a right of free speech. But he got up there and he said, I support our troops, and then he went on for 40 minutes to call the commander-in-chief of our troops, who are in combat right now, to call him every name in the book, to say he's a crook and a criminal, and so you need to choose, Rocky. Have free speech, but this is your city. We just buried one of your residents today. He gave his life and said he'd do it again. So I guess what I said today up here, and what I want to make the point is that we all understand that, particularly lawyers like Rocky, civil rights lawyer, that the right of free speech and all our freedoms are not absolute. You've heard the saying, your free speech right ends where my nose begins. Well, today, my word to Rocky was, your right to free speech, Mayor Anderson, your right to raise a fist in protest against this president ends at the casket of Corporal Galvez.
No more lies from Condoleezza Rice about whether she and President Bush were advised before 9/11 of the possibility of planes being flown into buildings by terrorists. No more disregard of the basic human rights enshrined in the Geneva Convention.
You know, I've looked at a lot of other Democratic mayors around the country who disagree with the president as strongly as Rocky Anderson does, and yet when the president comes, you respect him, you treat him fairly, and even if you don't want to do that, Rocky, if you don't want to stick your hand out and say welcome, fine, just shut up. But what you're doing and leading this group today, this group of protesters and all the things they said. Wonderful for them to say it. I served in the military so they could. But you, Rocky Anderson, as mayor, should not have done that today.
I actually think that he's really fulfilling his role as mayor to speak out, and especially against the atrocities of this war, and that as a politician he has just as much right as a regular citizen to speak his mind.